street that
The
comes
request
in.
by
Does that work?
CBB and
Yeah, does
Main
Cornwall
Street
in there?
suspended
Oof.
tonight.
That's got two. You can still run off.
It's up to you. You renominate for her.
No, there's no green one, it's just white. The green is only at
This
the top
isn't
of
a
the
city
street
board,
at,
this
at,
is
at
the
the
board.
highway.
And the city gets.
And that's fine, and I'm happy to see that, and that's probably more important than Dixie, but we should have, I mean, it's just because of constituent.
Well, we got two of them, we got two applications, we got David Dunn, who doesn't.
No, it's perfect. It's good, but there's some little, I don't even know the name, what street is that kind of comes in from Solway halfway down, so it
Only from
it cuts.
leaving Ingles from across the street.
Jim Malinowski was in.
What is that street? You'll tell me.
Going, aren't they?
Jim Malinowski was in Gene Ford.
Now they've got, well, all of them, at least, you know, Roost.
What?
Some of them need
Oh, it is
windows
Barclay.
there.
So at Barclay, which is really kind of non-essential.
You need to take a ride through.
Which is fine.
I can see what,
Why
3 or
would you
4
wait- if
from,
we had to wait too long,
trying to exit, to turn left out of Ingles.
Put it down.
But I haven't been back.
They're loose up there anyway. They're gonna disappear. They should probably tighten those up.
Good, thank you.
This is a, this is.
Got back in.
It's supposed to be to the city representative.
You wonder how it will be?
Well, I wonder how it is now.
Oh,
And then, and I know, I mean, I hate all this
well,
little
I mean,
stuff.
that was,
Wednesday night.
I know
that
I
was
have to
one
watch
of the
that
concerns
time.
brought up by folks. It had a good rating.
But the
Next
street
Wednesday?
light right
Correct.
there
I thought it was
at
this
my
week.
house and Andy,
And they
on
kinda
Andy Ainsworth's
minimalized the
property at
impact.
1016 Dixie, so 1016.
I'm sorry.
Is,
I've got,
and it's
I've
just
got hearing
basically
with
just across the street from my
that are like
driveway,
a
which
month and a
is
half old.
You
And I
can't.
can't.
street light, and it's just like epileptic seizure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just, well, it just looks, no, it just looks creepy. It looks like there's gonna be
Okay, I was telling John this Wednesday. Well, I'm glad we had this conversation.
You know what I'm saying?
Just gotta make certain. In the right time.
Good evening, we're gonna call our meeting to order. I would ask if you have cell phones to please put them on silent or turn them off at this time. We will stand and have pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Wagenhouse and prayer by Councilmember Jim Malinowski.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Too weird. Lord, we come to you this evening with gratitude in our hearts for the gift of this day, for the opportunity to serve, and for the privilege of living in this community we call home. We ask for your presence to guide us, grant us wisdom beyond our own understanding. Help us to listen not only to the voices in this room, but also to the quiet needs of those who may never stand at our podium. May we lead with integrity, speak with compassion, and act with courage. Let our differences not divide us, but deepen our understanding and strengthen our resolve to do what's just, what's kind, and what is right. Bless every hand and heart in this room, council members, staff, citizens alike, with the sense of purpose and a spirit of unity as we strive to build a city that's safe, fair, and full of opportunity. We offer this prayer with hope and a deep desire to serve well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. On our consent agenda, we have minutes from our June 2nd call meeting. If we could get a motion and a second to approve those minutes from our consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is not. I'm sure you agree, council member?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Thank you
sir,
so
I agree.
much.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right, thank you so much. Minutes approved, thank you. This time, public hearing, budget, fiscal year 2026, John Clem and Karen Stapps. Are you ready, Karen? Are you ready, John?
Mr. Mayor, was there gonna be any additional things to the agenda? I thought there was something else we were gonna add to the agenda. Do we need to do that formally? The donation and the appointments?
The donation?
Brooks Pennington.
Brooks Pennington's
Brooks,
donation for the fire department.
I mean, we can add it to the agenda, Brooks. We can add it to the agenda. Get a motion and a second to add
And then the
the
CBB
appointment of
appointment.
the CBB.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking. We are gonna adjust the
Yeah, we
the
can.
agenda to do that?
Yeah.
I move to add those two items to today's agenda.
Second.
There any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none. Thank you. Okay. John, you ready? Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the members of our city council. We're here tonight, once again, to discuss the fiscal year 2026 budget. And I'll start by saying I do not intend to be repetitive with other presentations that have been made before this body. I also would like to take an opportunity to thank members of the council who have inquired, asked questions, visited with their concerns or their questions dealing with the budget. I will be relatively brief, and staff is here to answer any questions that you may have, but in a nutshell, for our citizens who are unfamiliar with the budget before them, we have a budget that actually is close to $1 million less than last year's budget. And the reason for that is because we had unexpended SPLOST and T-SPLOST funds that needed to be expended on worthy projects in the past. So the budget to start off with is less than this present year's budget by almost $1 million. If you have had an opportunity to review the budget presentation, and Mr. Mayor, if I could just take a break, I'm not sure our chief might have to attend to the fire or whatever. Do we want to stop just for a minute to do his thing, or?
Y'all can continue.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I just want to mention some of the kind of unique characteristics that appear in the budget book. First of all, on page 22 of your budget book, you have a summary of the population. And as you can see, there has been an increase in population that we're all familiar with, but we wanted to present it to you graphically to show that we are, in fact, and have been for several years, growing in this community. On page 24, there's a breakdown of racial characteristics, where over 40% of our population is African American, almost 57% white. And on page 27, there's an interesting chart which talks about home ownership rate trends. And I talked to our planning department today, and they said that this kind of mirrors what's happening nationally. That nationally you're seeing a greater trend towards rental units and away from home ownership opportunities. And the last several years of this projection are just that, a projection. And so we don't want to say that that is an absolute. But clearly, we mirror the national trend headed towards more rental units as opposed to home ownership.
But John, if I may, as I look at this, you just said it kind of matches national and statewide trends, not according to this graph.
Well, I didn't mean that it mirrors, but that the national trend is towards more rental, and especially certain sections of the country.
Because this graph shows the US, the American,
Yeah, but that's the entire country.
yeah.
I'm talking about various sections of the country are seeing a sizable shift towards rental. I'm not making an editorial comment, I'm just stating a fact that there are sections of our country that are seeing shifts towards rental units. And so I bring this up because it's unique, and it's something that we want to watch. But in terms of drawing conclusions from it, and that's why I reached out to planning today, I think they're very cautious at this point to draw any conclusions, but it is a fact that we are shifting towards more rental units. So I just
And
want
I will say too, John, also that in a town as small as Madison, the addition of Canaan Crossing, for example, with 60 units, that has a big impact. Those are all rental units that weren't there before. So that would have an impact. in
And
this
that
one.
type of diversity in housing is normally seen as a good thing.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We all aren't in the same income bracket, we all aren't in the same situation, and the more a community can provide a diversity of housing, I think it's a positive thing for the community. It's just odd, though. It's a relatively significant change, so I just wanted to point it out to you. And we could ask planning in the future. I know that our planner, for example, is recognized statewide on this very topic. And so, and she's very knowledgeable about trends, and so we might want to ask for a presentation at some point. The next,
Yeah.
Are you saying something, council member?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
I don't know if you all can hear me or not, but I do know that the younger generations, our Gen Zs and our millennials, they're moving more toward rentals for flexibility. But in our community, it's not a lot of affordable housing that we can actually purchase. So we need more housing affordability in our community, not just rentals, but we need some market rate houses in our community as well. For workforce.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
and I would echo that comment. I happen to agree totally with that. The only thing that I hope we can be effective in the future is to provide housing opportunities for folks that live in Morgan County and in Madison. Because as the regional director of a statewide housing agency for 4 years, I know that it's a difficult challenge for any municipality or for any state to address the housing needs of our citizens. And if you aren't targeting those that are here, it's almost impossible to make gains. And so I hope that our housing efforts can target in any way that's legal, of course, those that are already here that are in need of housing opportunities. The next item I want to talk about that is in the budget book are the 2024 community survey results. Now, I don't want to repeat what we talked about a year ago. That's on page 32. And I don't want to repeat that, but it's important to remember what our citizens say is important to them. And as we went around to community events to try to convince our citizens to take the time to fill out the survey, we heard some skepticism on the part of residents that we were just going through this practice, that we weren't going to do anything with it. And it's very important, I think, for the effectiveness of future surveys, that our citizens come to understand that we not only asked folks how they feel, but we listened to their concerns. And so when we look at the survey results, one positive result was that people feel safe in the city of Madison. The crime is relatively low. And the reason that we conducted a operational audit in our police department, and the reason we continue to support the chief and the men and women of the department, is that we don't want that number to change. And in all too often in communities around this country that take their eyes off the ball, they see those numbers go up. We don't want that in Madison, and the chief has made it very clear to us how important it is to get him to full strength. We haven't been to a full complement for a decade or more. And the chief is one position, if I'm not mistaken, one position away from having a full complement of police officers, something that we haven't seen in a decade. I applaud him and his management staff for doing that. We have results from economic development, and that's really important because there are a segment of our community that are underemployed, that would like better opportunities, and we owe it to them to try to be effective in doing that. But there was a very clear message in terms of our economic development strategy that we not blindly support an economic development that is contrary to the #1 priority in this city, which is to preserve and protect the unique character and charm of the city. And lastly, on page 36, we asked what their biggest concern was going into the future. And people mentioned overdevelopment and traffic concerns. Now, so the question that I have for all of us as we look at next year's budget, we can talk about line items, we can talk about whether this committee deserves a new table or that person deserves a new vehicle. But the question is, are we answering the concerns of our citizens who clearly tell us that their greatest concern is the threat of overdevelopment and of traffic? And much to your credit, this mayor and this council has not sat back after we received the results in 2024. You've acted. You've changed zoning to allow you greater flexibility to say no on a project that is going to materially impact traffic. You made a change recently to the 441 corridor, taking some uses away from as of right and moved over to the conditional use. So once again, you can make sure that before something is approved, that you're addressing that significant concern people have about traffic. So that's my question to you, and maybe in the very near future, we could spend a workshop on the question about whether or not we're being effective in addressing the concerns of our citizens, and specifically about overdevelopment and traffic.
If I could just add to that briefly, John, the page 35, that chart there is kind of stunning, where it's a kind of a question of priorities between maintaining rural and historical character over increasing economic development. And it's 68% want to protect the character of Madison. That's a pretty substantial number. Then on the next page, 36, too, the two top things about what you like about Madison and what are the biggest problems, again, it's very similar. Overdevelopment or preserving character is the biggest issue facing us as a potential problem. And what do you most like about living in Madison? Small town and rural character. I mean, those numbers are pretty strong, I think.
So I think that it's appropriate at budget time where you're making decisions on where to put scarce resources to ask the question about whether or not we're doing an effective job, or whether there's things that we could do to become more effective in those particular areas. On page 40, you have a summary of how this new budget proposal is impacted by new employees. And once again, we gave our highest priority to public safety. That's in accordance to both operational audits. We had a very comprehensive operational audit done for our fire department first. And one of the recommendations was at some point that we consider adding to our part-time contingent of employees. And we recently have had an operational audit on the police side as well. And clearly, the indicator was that we weren't filling the positions that we had, and they made recommendations for new positions. Now, we did it over several years, and this would bring us in conformance with the operational audit. So the budget proposal before you citywide is recommending a position and a half, a full-time position in police and a half-time position, a part-time position in fire. And those are our highest priorities for your consideration. Now, you shouldn't assume or conclude from that there weren't other requests. I think every single department requested staff. And as I mentioned at the last hearing, I'd like to assemble sometime over the next year a series of work sessions with department heads so they can firsthand give you an assessment of their feeling of how they're able to address the myriad of responsibilities that we have placed in their plate. And so I hope that we can do that. But the proposal before you simply has a position and a half going forward next year. And lastly, before I briefly introduce Karen, I want to talk, because we didn't do it at the last meeting, I wanted to quickly review our accomplishments this year and our goals for next year. One of the major accomplishments I think we were able to, this is on page 86, accomplish, was a fairly effective relationship with our county. I don't think a week goes by where I don't have communications with the county manager, and that's the way it's been for the last several years. Most recently, through the hard work of Council Member Wagenhauser, you had a meeting with the county to see if there were areas where you might collaborate even more closely, specifically in the areas of economic development and or the comprehensive planning process. And I recall that we have a meeting coming up in July to continue that conversation. The second accomplishment is what I already mentioned, and that is that we didn't just do a citizen survey, that we're actually following it up with concrete action. Next, we actually consolidated disparate public works functions into a consolidated Department of Public Works, and we hired our first public works professional that's hard at work undertaking a goal of next year, which is to actually complete a meaningful 5-year capital plan so we get a better understanding of what our true financial liability is. Our planning department is working on completing the transportation plan. And from that plan, there's 5 or 6 targeted areas. One of them is the 2 traffic lights downtown, the Madison bypass. We have a half a dozen locations that have been identified in that traffic plan that really there's little debate over in terms of the importance of those to the future congestion of our traffic capacity. So those are some of the larger goals and accomplishments in the city in general. I'll turn to finance on page 89. Once again, for the second year, we received the Government Finance Officers Associated Distinguished Budget Award for the document that is before you. Our finance department has been hard at work catching up on 2 audits, and we're almost there. We're almost caught up, and that only came through a tremendous amount of work from our finance department. And in terms of goals, we implemented a brand-new finance and utilities software program to address our woefully inadequate existing software program. And hopefully we'll complete that very much in the near future. And human resources, and Karen Robinson is here, she not only is playing a major role in all of the hiring, making sure that we're meeting standard and accepted human resource practices in terms of hiring, but she was intimately involved with the hiring of the new police chief, the new DPW director as well. She's also working on updating the city's personnel manual, which is necessary, and that's a goal of hers over the next year. And planning on page 99, of course, we have completed a draft of the transportation plan, and hopefully over the next 2 or 3 months, we'll bring that to closure so that we can begin to get some meaningful work done on major transportation projects. Molly and Monica and her capable staff have done a lot of work on updating zoning, including recent changes relating to industrial and also on traffic. They completed the restroom facility at Hill Park and now are focusing their efforts over at Andrews Park. We've got a community meeting that the council is invited to on July 7th to update the community in terms of plans for Andrews Park. We need to talk more about the expansion of our cemetery. We're all in favor of it. The question is how are we going to finance it? And we need some innovation and creativity in that regard, but it would be nice over the next year if we could come up with an understanding of how we might finance the badly needed cemetery expansion project. And of course, we have the state mandated comprehensive plan that needs to be completed. And thanks to your leadership, we're seriously thinking about working with the county in that regard. And I think most feel that there's justification to do just that. On page 104, we turn to our police department.
Can I add just one thing in your planning thing?
Sure.
You're gonna have to make an adjustment on the parking lot rental,
Yes,
which is a little out of date.
it is,
By
and
about
thanks
3
to your
days.
leadership, we now have a 5-year lease. And a new lease on life in terms of downtown parking. It gives us time to really put a long-range parking plan together. In terms of police, we not only significantly hired chronically open positions, we're just about to start the Citizens Police Academy this coming week, and we're all excited about that. And in terms of goals, the staff has worked long and hard to gain police certification, which I think is very important for our city and for our police department. Not only are we going after the Georgia Municipal Association certification, the state certification, but also the Georgia Municipal Association certification as well. And in terms of public works, starting on page 114, 113, Sean is implementing Sean Wood, our Public Works Director, is implementing a brand new work order system, which is badly needed. And most importantly, in terms of goals, he is drafting a system-wide asset inventory and condition assessment so that we can understand what our financial liability is. And on the next page of 114, we have utility treatment. We're blessed to have Larry Stevens, our water treatment supervisor, and Jody Wilson working wastewater. They are consummate professionals. We're fortunate to have them, but they're working with Sean to upgrade the long-range plan. And lastly, and certainly not least, We turn to our senior supervisor, Erin Tewksbury, who does such a phenomenal job for us day in and day out. The issue of the appearance of the city is an important issue to our citizens, and we're blessed to have Erin and his capable staff. One thing that we continue to do that we have to be mindful of is putting new projects on his plate without a concomitant increase in his staff. And so we have to be realistic, and I've talked to Sean about that as well. But he's working on the trail system and of course recycling. We have the new glass program that really is the state-of-the-art statewide. And so you have his goals listed as well. And lastly, with our part-time road supervisor, Aaron Wadley, he's working on the T-Splosh program, our roads program for this year and for next year as well. So that is, in a nutshell, some of the accomplishments and the goals that our departments are working on a daily basis. But I stand ready with our fire chief, our police chief, our DPW director, and our finance director to answer any questions that you might have. We're not planning on a vote tonight, so you still have additional time if you want to study something or come in and discuss with staff. We're available, Mr. Mayor, for that purpose.
Thank you.
So if there are questions or comments from the council, if not, we are getting ready for the 27th of June, I think it is, that a vote hopefully will take place.
Yes, the 27th of June is the official meeting for the vote to approve the budget. But there is a public hearing tonight.
Do you have any other comments that you wanted to add?
No, it's just that I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody does have, and of course, we're always available. I did pass out an updated sales tax analysis spreadsheet that also includes the TABT tax, which again, I include this on the spreadsheet because this took the place of sales tax on the purchase of vehicles. And so I try to watch that to see what the effect overall is on our sales tax.
So on that subject, Karen, if I could ask, you can help me out here on the TAVT revenue from 24 to 25. What went into that substantial drop there from 2 years ago to, well, actually, yeah, 2 years ago to this year? All the numbers are in for the calendar,
Yes.
right?
That is strictly based on the purchase of vehicles. And so.
So why the big variance from one year to the next?
It has to,
People didn't buy them.
yeah, people didn't buy vehicles. Or they, and it's also based on the fair market value, so it could have been a lesser, which I highly doubt that. But, so yes, it is strictly based on purchase of vehicles. So if there wasn't as many vehicles that were purchased in this year than the prior year, then you're gonna see a decrease in the revenue.
Is that planes also? Airplanes? Airplanes go into the TAVT?
No, sir.
No, just vehicles?
I'm pretty sure it's just vehicles. I've never heard airplanes being referenced. It'd be nice if it was based on fair market value.
Are there any more questions for Karen? If not, we're going to open our public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for this budget tonight? Anyone here to speak against the budget tonight? If not, the public hearing is closed, and we look forward to adopting this budget on June 27th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Thanks, John. Thanks, Karen. Done a great job. Appreciate that. Mr. Pennington, we now listen to you.
Can y'all hear me? Ooh,
Yes, sir.
that was loud. Before we get into that, I guess it's also a public comment, but there's a lot going on in the city. And it's pretty exciting to see it from the inside and just as a citizen. So thank you all for digging through that big document that y'all went through on that budget. And if you do have questions on the fire department side, feel free to reach out to me. With that, my name is Brooks Pennington, and I'm blessed to be able to serve this community as fire chief for City of Madison. I'm here today to talk about the donation of land for our new Station 22 to be built upon. But before I do that, I'd like to give you a quick update on the fire department. MFD continues to serve our community very well. We've got 2 full-time staff, Gene and Kenny, and they provide significant help on administration, budget management, equipment and apparatus maintenance, along with many other tasks. We've successfully implemented our part-time program, which you mentioned a little bit earlier, John, and we currently have 12 part-time firefighters that assist us, mainly from Fridays through Sundays. We did that because our data showed that mainly Friday night, Saturday, and into Sunday is when our average hands that respond, our average number of personnel, it goes down a little bit. We have people that travel on weekends, they're with their family. So in order for us to best serve this community, we try to use data and respond to that data, be proactive and not reactive. With that, I'd say that the backbone of the department is our 18 volunteers. They're steadfast in their dedication to this community, and they respond 24/7. We average almost 12 hands per call, which for a predominantly volunteer department this day and age is almost unheard of. Not only are our volunteers willing and able to drop what they're doing and respond, but they do so with courage and professionalism. It's something to be proud of. Not only our volunteers, but all of our department members. I'm thankful for all members of this department, just as I'm thankful for the support that we find throughout this community. We've got a culture at MFD where we do aim to be proactive and not reactive. Electric vehicles, changes to construction methods, growing industries are all things that we try to stay ahead of. It's a lot. We attempt to train as best we can to address these before they become issues, but in our community. But at the same time, we know that they're coming, we know that they're here, and it's our job to be proactive and get in front of it. With that, Madison has been growing too, and our call volume has been growing along with it. I've been on the department for over 15 years. When I first started, I think we ran maybe 100 calls. We're running close to 400 calls a year. This year, we're going to be, if we keep on track, between 350 and 420. So with that, we know we can't expand this downtown station. We also are very grateful for our relationship with Public Works back here for sharing a building with us for some time. It's our Station 22. That's where we house our reserve. That's where we house our second out engine and our first out ladder truck. But we know that our current setup, it's not ideal. It's not a true fire station. We know that for a long time, Madison has needed a true second station, one where we can properly house our equipment, one where we also can train. So we also need something that doesn't just meet our needs for today. What we're looking at is trying to create something that can meet our needs for today, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and 50 years down the road. This isn't a project that we just started. It's one that we've talked about, we've analyzed for many years. I believe you'll hear me say in a minute that back in 2021, early 2021, we acquired the first bit of land. Didn't acquire it. I believe it was donated from Pat Reams. And that is where we initially thought the station would go. The more that we've analyzed it, the more that we've realized that the footprint that we need to put there, the number of bays that we need to put there, we need a little bit more width at that current location. So today I will be asking you all to accept a second land donation from Madison Bypass Holdings, LLC, which is owned by Pat Reams. Before I ask for this request, I want to thank Mr. Pat for all that he has done for our fire department. I want to thank him also for all that he has done for first responders across this community. He has been a steadfast supporter of first responders across this city and county for many, many years. He does not ask the public for thanks, and he prefers to stay behind the curtain, but today I did want to thank him publicly. Every Christmas, he offers to provide a Christmas dinner to our volunteers. If we're putting a charity race on for our charity fund, he'll be the first to step up and support us. Mr. Pat, if you're listening to this, I want to thank you for being one of the greatest supporters of first responders in this community, especially our volunteers at Madison Fire Department. Mr. Pat donated approximately 3 acres of land in 2021, and with this footprint that should serve our community for looking 25 to 50 years down the road, we asked him to give us an additional 1.5 acres, and I don't know, can we pull that up or not?
You don't have it.
Don't have it.
I can't say you don't have it.
Okay. Y'all have seen it.
Well, we have.
The survey has been completed by Joey Brewer with Acre Surveying. We have Jay Moss working on an independent appraisal that will go to Pat. And so what I would ask of you all is today to consider and I guess vote on the acceptance of this additional 1.5 acres land off of Mary Magnan Boulevard for the future City of Madison Fire Station 22. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Mr. Penner. Thank you for what you and the volunteers do for our city each and every day.
Thank you.
So much. And give our thanks to Mr. Reams.
Yes,
from
sir.
our city. That's councilman. We can get a motion to accept this donation for Mr. Pat Reams for our fire department.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion? Second. All in favor, show of hands.
My hand is up.
Thank you so much. Opposed is none, vote unanimously.
Thank you.
So much for making this presentation to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Now we have nominations of city representative to the CBB board, an ex-official member from the Madison City Council to the CBB board. And I believe I have the authority to appoint the ex-official member of the CBB, and I believe Mr. Malinowski has agreed to serve if it's at the wish of the council. We can get a motion and a second
I missed what your motion was.
to appoint Mr. Jim Malinowski as the ex-officio member of the CBB board.
So because you're appointing, do
We don't really have to vote.
We don't really have to vote,
That's just
just
nominated,
appointed.
yeah.
But we all agree, I'll raise my hand. Yes.
Okay. I also need a city representative from the CBB board. Now, I'm not sure how many applications we received to serve on this board. One, and that one application was? David, were there any other?
There were 3.
Okay, who were the 3?
Gene Porter, the fire marshal, and I'm not sure, did we get an official one from Karen?
No, David Nunn. We
David
got one
Nunn.
from David Nunn.
David
And
Nunn we
yours,
got.
did you pull yours away?
Yeah, I had applied for the ex officio,
I
but
see.
I've already had a conversation with Jim, and I'm more than happy to have Jim fill that role. By the way, I've got the bylaws here. The ex officio is specific by their bylaws to be either the mayor or a member of the city council. It's a non-voting position.
Right.
I didn't see anything about a term on there. Did you, Jim? Is there a ex officio? I don't think there's a term involved. But anyway, I'm more than happy to have Councilmember Malinowski fill that role. It does say, if I can, I'm not sure how much you all know about the GMA bylaws, but it does say the 2 board of directors members nominated, interesting verbiage there, I think, and the verb nominate, nominated by the mayor and city council of Madison and confirmed by the corporation. I assume that means the CVB. At least one of these board of directors members shall specifically represent the tourism industry in the city of Madison and Morgan County, which will include hotel and motel industry, hospitality, restaurants, and retail merchants, and the attraction industry. The other of these 2 board of directors, which is the one that I believe we're appointing tonight, may be an at-large nomination who does not have direct involvement in the tourism industry. So they're 3-year terms. I believe Karen Weibel has served 2 3-year terms, and the bylaws require she sit out for at least a year before she's eligible for coming back on the board. I hope that helps a little bit on what.
Thank you.
Well, and just to clarify, I mean, you intimated, but there is the position held that represents one of the industries within the city, hotel, businesses and such
Yeah.
is filled
Right.
by
Charles Marvel.
Charles Marvel. So all we are required to do, that we need to do at this point, is appoint or vote for a representative that is a free agent, basically, I guess.
So it looks like we have two then that applied,
I believe that's it. I think
David Nunn.
Gene and David.
and Gene Porter. So we'll go with David Nunn first. All in favor of David Nunn serving on the CBB board? Raise your hand. Okay. Opposes, those who are against, raise your hand. We'll come back to appointing, we'll come back and make another motion for Gene Porter.
Well, but was a motion, so a motion was, who?
For David
we-
Nunn.
We made the motion.
Yeah.
You made the motion. No, you.
I didn't make a motion.
There was
You
no-
asked for a show of
You just
hands.
asked-
For
went right to a vote.
a motion, okay, we have for a motion to appoint David Nunn. Those who have been
Yep.
appointed David Nunn.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to make that motion, but if that's the proper way to do it, but I mean, it's
I think.
with
do we-
one in support and the others thinking something else, it seems. Is
Sure.
that what you want to do?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we appoint David Nunn to the CVB board.
Got a second? That's no second, that motion is lost. All right, all in favor of appointing Gene Porter? to the
Let's make a
CBB?
motion first. Mr. Mayor, I move that we appoint Gene Porter to the CVB position.
I second the motion.
All in favor, show of hands?
Can I make a comment before we vote, Mayor, if you don't
Sure.
mind?
My hand is up, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I think David would be great on that board. I think he could easily be appointed at one of the at-large positions. But I think it's important that we have our two city-appointed members have a direct connection with the city. There's other board members, David would be wonderful on that board representing the cultural center. But I kind of like the idea that our directors have a direct connection, not only with the city, but with this city government, meaning us and our staff. That's how I look at it. And I hope it's not construed as anything against David. I think he'd be great on that board, but maybe at one of the at-large positions. So I just wanted to throw that in.
That's very well put. Thank you for
Thank you.
clarifying that.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4.
My hand is up.
All right, opposers?
Mr. Mayor,
none?
may I make a?
Vote unanimously. Yes, sir.
I voted to support Gene, and I just felt like David would have perhaps been a candidate to also support, but in no way, as Eric mentioned about David, that my recommendation for David was no slight on Gene, and I'm glad he's willing to serve, and I'm sure he'll do a great job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And the public comments tonight? No public comments. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining on tonight. I don't know how you turn this thing on.
I don't know either, but
I like the way you put that right where a chair would normally be.
Yeah.
You guys are very proper.
well, Ken helped us with that.
We'll have to get Ken back
A little
down.
weird during the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, she was dragging a little bit.
Yeah, well, she was.
There was a delay.
A little
Anytime
delay.
you own these phones, you're sort of behind anyway. So, yeah.
And she was loud, too.
About threw me off my cadence.
I kept looking at her.